Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baka. We are an anime podcast where every 2 weeks we come together, we discuss an anime we recently watched. We do it in a very book club style format. And then we turn that discussion over to you, the listening audience. Comment in your thoughts, what you liked, what you didn't like, where we're wrong, where we're right, or just tell me how pretty my beard is compared to these guys.
You have a beard?
We haven't had a beard joke in a while. I just needed to tee you
True.
up. All right. The guys with the
beard
longer
envy.
beards than me, but not better. Less is more, guys. First off,
That's
with
what
his
people look
anime
for.
hot take, we have the Sebastian to my good luck dragon. It's Jeremy.
So it's not quite anime, but
Here we go.
podcast clips that are redone by AI to be baby versions of the hosts is my new favorite thing. It's way better than the original podcast host clips. It is hysterical.
Yeah. All right. We also have the Artax to my Atreyu. It's Jason.
Reaching back.
I'm trying to remember who Atreyu was.
Are you kidding?
Oh my god. That
Turn
never-ending story?
around. Tell me
right?
what you see. Yeah.
Uh
It's
magical
relevant.
magical girl transformations are exhausting.
Not if they use stock animation.
That's my
What
hot
if
take.
it's Sakuga stock animation, though?
I always liked the transformations.
There's
this
only
one wasn't
one
so great.
transformation I was not tired of seeing. That I can
We're not
remember.
talking about any specific anime.
I'm just saying, in general, my hot
In
take,
general, your hot take.
magical girl transformations are
Doka
exhausting.
Magica sucks. Totally boring because there's so many transformations.
That's what Jason
Th-
thinks.
Well, there aren't.
what-
That's the point.
There's a ton in there.
There
They
are.
do it every episode.
They
Really? Really?
still exhausting.
Don't. Okay. Thank you. And my name is Troy, and my anime hot take is that anime hot takes are outdated and not needed in today's
Wow.
current environment.
How much thought you put into this one?
You know,
Always coming
every-
prepared.
every episode, I think that's the very first one I always want to use. Every single episode.
Gross.
Look, it was terrible. I'm gonna make up for it later, guys.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm phoning it in for now to bring my A game later.
Ah,
Limited resource.
Yes,
Troy's A game.
that's 1000% true. All right. The anime we are here to discuss is Zenshu. How many U's is it? Nobody knows. But yeah, this was a recent anime, and this was Jeremy's pick, and now we're going to review it. So we're going to start with a non-spoiler review for everyone, and he's going to give us his thoughts. Jeremy, go.
It's pretty good. It's not terrible. It's not great, in my opinion. I think it does a really good job displaying the life of an artist and the things that they go through and how they can be perceived from the outside. It has a really cool episode where it goes back and shows some of her history. And that one in particular is just, it's really fun. It's funny and it's interesting. Some of the characters were great. I laughed a lot. The jokes landed pretty well. But overall, it kind of felt like a shoujo. I haven't looked to see if it was. Maybe it was. If it was, then the female lead would probably have been my first clue. But it was a bit more romance oriented than I was hoping for. So
It is a romance. I don't think it's a shoujo.
not a shoujo. Okay, good. But yeah, it was all right.
I would label this as a romantic action comedy. All right, Jason, your thoughts?
It was not good. Um, this I had a hard time following some of the story, because it just kind of A didn't seem to lead to B for me. And also like it felt obtuse trying to get like any of the powers to make sense or get any of the like some of the relationships were pretty good. I liked um that we'll get into later. Can't
There
really
we
say
go.
anything right
I was like, what are they gonna do with that?
now. Right? Um but yeah, just felt out of place.
Hmm. Okay. And my name is Troy. And I actually really enjoyed it. I have some nitpicks about it. I think it could have been served as a movie a little bit better, and I think the plot itself was a little predictable, but it's beautiful. I enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the themes and what they were doing with the story. It really served to me. I think it serves a really good purpose, has a really good message, and it seemed like a celebration of anime in general, which was, as someone who hosts an anime podcast and watch what I think is an excessive amount of anime. I think some of you guys listening have me way beat, but it doesn't matter. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, as someone who spends a lot of time with anime, it was cool to be like, hey, anime is cool. And sure, yeah, I'm down with that. Oh, and some behind the scene detail stuff. I like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Not perfect, and it does have the unfortunate side effect of being right after we watched ReZero. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this guy on top of this guy, and
Yeah.
is it an isekai?
It's labeled one. So it's not a shoujo, but it is an isekai.
Yeah, I guess. Is Neverending Story? Would that be
Yeah.
considered an isekai? Okay.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Fair enough. All right. What are you guys' thoughts on the OP and the ED?
serviceable.
I loved them. Now it was the music that I thought was just really good, really catchy for both of them, and how in the ED how it starts with like the black and white visuals of the main character being strung like a puppet. That was really cool. You hated it, huh?
It
I thought it
was.
was great.
I just didn't. Felt lazy.
I'm so excited for this
Really?
episode.
Oh my god.
Look, you all can fast forward and get to the good stuff, but I have to wait patiently.
No, I liked them both. I thought they were great.
I think I'm somewhere in between. I really liked them. I don't think like I'm adding anything to my playlist. Uh, I also like the ending visuals, but I thought the opening song was better.
One criticism is the way he runs in the ED. His running. So Tanya was watching this with me, and yes, she's like, "Oh my god, why are his shoulders doing that when he runs? Like, don't do that. Don't run
Gotta
like that."
animate the shoulders, man.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Okay. I just thought the OP and ED were pretty. Um,
Mhm.
I'd agree with
there's a
that.
lot
They
of good
were.
animation flourishes throughout this whole thing.
So you actually, I've heard you guys say it was pretty. You liked the animation. I thought there were a lot of instances where the animation was a little bit
Oh yeah,
subpar.
absolutely. You could tell where they put their money and where they did not.
Yeah, it's got some killer Sakuga scenes. Um, a lot of it though, like the world itself,
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be an old anime, so it looking kind of crappy while the characters stand out and pop out really well from it. I thought added to the vibe of what they were going for, and it's probably like a little shortcut we can take, and we can purposely not have this animated well and say, oh, but an old 90s anime. What you gonna do? Um,
I like that
but
interpretation. That didn't even occur to me. I think it was more of, like you were saying, just a shortcut, like budgetary concerns, but I like the headcanon.
it can be both, you know. All right, and then we're about to
Next
go to
time.
spoilers. Yeah, we're about to go to spoilers, but before we do, what we're watching next is Sakamoto Days. He's the world's deadliest assassin. Until he got married and had a kid and got fat. Now he runs a grocery store. Until the assassins come back for him or something. And it's mostly a comedy and it's on Netflix and only 11 episodes. And that's what we're watching next.
It really sounds like
It
a
is
recent Jackie Chan movie.
it is a very popular manga. It got an anime. I don't actually know how people have received the anime yet, so we'll find out when we watch it.
Eh,
I'm sure we will follow the masses with our
Always.
opinions. Yeah. Yeah,
Old
so that's
men.
coming up next. Like I said, one of the things is it's only 11 episodes, and I was excited about that. Which means it's probably only half of an actual story, but that's fine. I want to dip my toe in it. I'm not looking for a long haul thing here.
Mhm.
I seen the first episode. I thought it was funny.
Afraid of commitment.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. All right. Spoiler time. We're gonna spoil Zenshu, and yeah, I think that's it. Maybe some really old anime. Other than that, we're fine. You should be fine. Just spoilers and shoes. Spoiler warning's
Maybe
been
a
dropped.
reference to an old anime, like, hey, this exists. I don't know if it'd be qualify as spoiling.
So our main character is Natsuko, and we're gonna talk about her in a second. But I want to kind of set up the whole premise of who she is and where she's going to go, even though the story. So she is this super talented anime artist who's risen up through the world of anime art and anime directing, and so, in fact, she created her own series. Looks very similar to Sailor Moon. It's Sailor Moon. Um, it was her first series, and she got so popular that she was given her own anime film to make, and everyone's super excited about it because Sailor Moon's so popular. It's not Sailor Moon for legal reasons.
I love that at one point when they're showing her history, there's a giant stuffed Sailor Moon doll in the background, but it doesn't have like the little red circles as hair decorations. It's got like three
There
little
were
crystals instead.
there were a couple things in here that I was like, I kind of wish you just had the rights to
Yeah,
make the full reference. I get
it
what you're
would be
going
better.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This-
so she's stuck in this movie because it's a rom com, and she doesn't know anything about the rom part.
Mhm.
It looks like what was the one we watched? Your Name
Your Name.
or
Yeah.
any of those. Like it's high schoolers falling in love. You know, they have the poster for it already. So you can definitely tell it's one of those anime movies. They're very popular. Clearly a reference. And then she's going to die and then go to an anime film from her childhood that was her favorite, but not well received or successful. It
Yeah.
was kind of a bad movie, but art enthusiasts tend to really be drawn to it
So we'd
because
probably like it.
some of us.
Some of us. If there's tragedy, we will be there.
And then while there, she can use her animation powers to change the story. That's her in a nutshell. And it's kind of important because as we talk about her character. So your guys' thoughts on Natsuko?
uh insufferable till about episode 11. Um I I could not stand that she constantly had her hair in her face. I don't I understand it was a narrative device, but it was an annoying one. Um she I do like the character arc she starts to go through, that, you know, they point out you gotta know teamwork. It it, it felt very ham-fisted the way it was done. And it didn't feel, and as far as her powers go, I just The idea that you're going to get
Maybe
a chance within battle to sit down for 5 to 10 minutes to draw yourself an amazing weapon to
Well, she
defeat the
wasn't.
enemy with.
She had a little timer. It was usually like a minute and 47 seconds.
Yeah, because the enemy's
that
going to allow you to do that.
no, hold on. I'm pretty sure that's not the timer and how long it takes for her to draw. That's the timer of checking sure the frames match up with the timing of the animation.
Oh, is that what that was?
I'm pretty sure that's something
Oh.
animators would use to check. Okay, how long is
To like
this scene
flip
that I've just
while they're
drawn?
doing the
Yeah.
time. Oh, okay.
So
Right. And then
That makes sense.
the transformation took way too long. It was the same thing over and over. By the time I saw it the fourth time, I was like, I don't want to see this anymore. It was beautiful, like
Yeah.
objectively, but like I wasn't a big fan of this character.
Would it have been better if she was like yelling while she did it and her hair was slowly turning yellow and energy was like pulsing? Would the time have been acceptable then?
If you're trying to make the argument that DVZ is the exact same thing as sitting down at a desk, I don't agree.
Really?
that's no, because your argument is that just the transformation itself is boring
Yeah.
and having
The
to watch it over
transformation
and
is
over
boring
again.
and time consuming, and the enemy stands there and waits for you to complete it.
The desk is a
Okay.
separate. You complained about both, but
Yeah.
he's addressing the one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Time.
let's get into that. Goku's Super Saiyan 3 transformation took a long time, nearly half an episode. The next few times he transforms, it's boom, he transforms.
hmm
It's a half second he transforms.
Yeah, but this is a trope. Like there, you think that
And it's a
I'm
trope I
not.
don't like. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well that's fine. But logistically, I thought they did a pretty good job, like creating diversions, creating shields around her, trying to stop enemies from getting to her while she was doing her thing. And there were also times where the enemies did get to her and they ruined her special attack, and you don't typically see that.
That's true.
Um,
They did do
if
that once.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I was okay with it for that reason. I did think it was funny how like she tried to draw the same character twice. Like, so she drew a character, it solved a problem. She went, I'm gonna draw the same character, and it says no stock animation. And immediately I was like, but you're doing stock animation right now. Like every transformation is stock animation. So I thought that was a funny little joke that they put in there. But
Hey,
also a rule.
if Deadpool can do it, why can't this anime do it?
Right, exactly. So it has some really cute meta stuff with that. I absolutely love the um dichotomy of having the sort of sketchbook art that she had made very quickly for the animation process superimposed over the fully animated and rendered world. I thought that was the coolest thing. Also seeing like the tools of the trade being in use, really really cool. Um, as far as her personality goes, I I was intrigued. Um, I kind of get it. Tanya was like that, so I get it. And it's just a matter of like if you're really good at something for a long time, a huge amount of pressure gets put on you, and so you obsess about that thing, and you don't want to delegate because you know you've gotten enough praise about it. Nobody's going to do it as well as you, but then you're going to burn yourself out. So, like, she had all these things stacking on her that were creating problems. And that was reflecting in her personality and how she viewed everyone else as, I mean, as an artist, her take on other people was their subjects to be drawn. Like, she doesn't really have a sense of empathy or you are a person. It is, I want to draw you. You're a thing. I'm going to draw you. Um, and so there is a discrete separation between herself and other people. And I thought the hair was a great barrier for that. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed how she changed over time. And I enjoyed the, there's a certain point where she realizes um, that she might have done more harm than good with her changes to this world. And then things kind of take off in a different direction. And I really like that moment. I want to talk about it more when we get there, but it shows it's a major pivotal moment in her character progression and her arc, um, and also her relationship with this piece of art and media that was so important to her as she developed, whether keeping it pure, you know. So, anyways, yeah, I liked her. I thought she was great.
I really like her. I have two nitpicks, and they're not Jason's. One is the language she uses. She's clearly from a younger generation, which works because she tells us, "Hey, I'm an adult. I pay taxes. I have a job." But they are letting us know she is a very young, and not just physically, but mentally. She hasn't fully matured into an adult, even though she's doing adult things. And this is from the English dub, but I thought that was a good device. But as a older person, it grinded a little bit. But at least she wasn't like Ohio Skibbity. Oh, it could have been worse. My other nitpick: she does this entire movie in Crocs, but never once puts them into action mode with the leash behind the ankles so that they stay in place.
I
They're
did
just
not notice her shoes, Troy. What is wrong with you?
well, they're drawn very detailed. They're clearly Crocs. There's no holes in them, but
Oh.
they're the Croc shape, and they have the little band that can go behind your ankle. Guys, don't you watch the shows?
Not the shoes, the shows.
I think it's one of the opening credits. There's a shot of her running, and her foot's like really in the foreground. But every
Oh.
time her footwear was in scene, I was like, freaking Crocs! Don't like them. They
That's
make my
funny.
feet sweat. I don't like them. Anyway, I really like the character. I I like the visual storytelling. Yeah, I want to see her face. You're supposed to want to see her face. When her face starts getting revealed, it shows the growth. It's visual confirmation. It's like, hey,
I know.
Luke Skywalker's wearing all black, but oh no, the open and there's white inside. Visual storytelling. I like it. And also how it connects with another character and then it's fine. I just love the arcs that they go through. I love that we see her. I'm going to talk about themes in a little bit, but we see her exploring the theme with other characters, and then it comes back full circle to her on both the good side and the bad side, plus everything that Jeremy mentions about being an actual artist and being a virtuoso and what that does to you. All that's in there as well. As far as isekai main characters go, she doesn't break the one thing that really bugs me, and that like coming to this world and getting magic powers, she was fixed. As a matter of fact, she needed to fix herself to fully be able to use her magic powers. That's what an isekai, in my opinion, should do. Character arcs and stuff, and not, hey, you're a slime now, everything's fine.
Actually, there was one other thing I really liked about her, and that was that she actually told everybody immediately that she was from another world.
Yeah, and immediately tried
Told
to
them
go
about the
home.
future, tried to go home. Like, this was a more realistic depiction of how a person would probably behave in a scenario like this than I've seen in the vast majority of this guy.
Other than her being young and it being frustrating, it felt very realistic. It felt like watching my daughters go through an isekai. They are young women in their 20s. They say the kind of words she says and make the kind of choices she makes. It felt very relatable and real.
Where everything can be, your world can be collapsing around you, and you get a good plate of food in front of you. You're like, oh, everything's better.
Yeah.
All right, so we're still in the real world. She's working on her project. Clearly, she's taking too much on herself. She's not delegating. They're even making comments, and then she gets upset, and they're like, "Oh, I was talking to that guy who's carrying that thing. Don't do everything yourself." We meet the president of the company who brings them all clam bento boxes, which apparently she does on the regular, and then reminds everyone, "Hey, throw out the old clam bento boxes." They clearly didn't. Our main character grabs one, And right before she eats it, she reads about her favorite director who created her favorite anime movie, the Perilous Perishing Tale of Perishing.
I'm glad you remembered.
I have it written somewhere too, but I did actually remember. A Tale of Perishing. That director has died due to food poisoning. Wasn't it also food
I
poisoning?
think so, yeah.
Uh, Natsuko then eats the rotten clams and then dies ish. Wakes
This
up in a desert.
Yeah, this director, I love the way they drew this director. She looks like a psycho. It's so good. Like she's got the perfectly round eyes with the perfectly round pupils because it's to give you an idea of like who creates a world as tragic as Tale of Perishing, right?
Right. She has that like I smoke cigarettes and my stories are dark. Like
Yeah.
I want to communicate human suffering to the masses.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So our main character wakes up in the desert and she's in the movie. She's not convinced she's in the movie. She thinks she's at a Comic-Con type thing. Uh, but the heroes of the movie come along fighting what are called the Void, evil bug monsters who want to destroy the world and are
Yep.
doing pretty well for themselves, if we're being honest at this point in the story.
Yep.
But we need to talk about these heroes. The first off is our main hero, Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry, Luke Braveheart. Your guys' thoughts on Luke?
He was a serviceable protagonist. Yeah, I think they did a good job of like showing a hero that's been through massive amounts of tragedy, trying to keep his chin up and attempting to not just play the hero, but to just minimize the amount of death and carnage around him. And also just taking, he's a good reflection of Natsuko in that he takes on too much himself.
Mhm. I love some of the early exchanges between him and Natsuko because he's kind of a spunky, obnoxious hero. It's not what you would typically expect when you think of the hero of an anime world.
He's a little bratty.
He is, but it's very entertaining. Like she wants to eat some of the food, and she's kind of being obnoxious as well. And so when she doesn't get to eat the food, he eats it and looks at her and grins. And you don't see that in anime very often, where the characters are obnoxious just for the sake of it because it's funny. Um, yeah, overall, I thought it was interesting seeing him uh, sort of open up and I don't even know how to really express it because it was annoying to me because I don't enjoy romance. I just don't find it to be entertaining. And so when the anime really started going in that direction and he was just being so soft and like ooey gooey, and I was just, come on, hurry up. What? Give me something interesting. What's going on? Move on.
Your
Um,
wife is a lucky woman.
well, it was funny because she's sitting there with me and she's like, "Oh my god, he's such a sissy." Um,
To be fair, that's fair. Yeah, it is.
yeah. And so, but then it like came back at a later point and it showed the some events from his perspective. And so we got to see a more gradual rendition of how he, softened, shall we say. And it was a little more palatable that way. Um, but yeah, he was interesting. I liked the twist at the end. And I liked how they resolved it with him. Pretty good.
I I found his emotional maturity to be a little low for someone in such a dark series of events that he's gone through. But they very much explain it. He's written to be poor around women. And that's where a lot of that shows is that whenever he interacts with women, he doesn't know what to do. He freaks out and he um just generally freaks out. That's a good way to put that. So I'm gonna stick with that. And
Mhm.
I agree. It was like this is kind of annoying and I'm cringing a little bit, but the genuineness of it shown through, and I think carried it past that. It's not my ideal, but it worked. It was serviceable for the story, and it was a good foil to Natsuko because she's also a brat and he's a brat, and then they're butting heads. I do enjoy a butting heads to friends to lovers romance. That's look, it worked for Han Solo and Princess Leia. It works for everybody else.
That's 2. Or is it 3?
Look, the name is clearly, it's got to be a reference. His name is Luke Braveheart. And at one point, he does the Luke Skywalker pose with the one from the original 1977 poster with the spread legs and the sword in the sky.
Right.
I feel like it's on purpose and not just something it could be.
Choice scene.
I do see Star Wars everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, what's that sweater you're wearing?
It's a hockey sweater for the rebellion. His best friend is Unio, the talking unicorn.
Is this Jason's favorite character? A little chibi.
You want to take it, Jason? You've been teed up.
I'm poking.
The chibi part didn't bug me because his design was meant to be cutesy, for one. What I didn't understand is why he continually transformed into a full-size unicorn and then back down to his not like he's just kind of a confusing character all around. But he was the plucky sidekick that wanted all of Luke's attention and got jealous of Natsuko, and however, when it mattered, was stoic and brave. So like I didn't have a huge problem with this character.
I can only guess at why he would switch back and forth, but I think maybe because I don't think he used magic when he was in unicorn form, but he could fly and act as a steed. So I think when he wanted to just kind of be able to move around like a human, walk on 2 legs.
Even though he's got hooves.
I know. That was weird.
No hands, no feet, and just hooves.
It must be the magic. He's picking things up. But so I think that is probably why he did it, but it's just a guess. Personality wise, I really enjoyed the jealousy and the conflict that was there, and how frustrated he would get whenever Luke would show any attention or interest in Natsuko. And it wasn't even like a jealousy of I need that attention. It was I really don't like her. She's annoying, because he saw potential true competition in her, and he also didn't trust her. And he was even like, no, there's other girls. There's other girls. You can go look at the girls over there or something, but not her, not the gremlin. So that was really cute. And there were some nice heartfelt moments where he was like, I don't get it. Why is he not coming to me with this issue? Why is he coming to this character or that character? Those are pretty good.
I'm calling a quick timeout on character talk because I think I need to establish something for future discussion, especially with you, Jason. Specifically with you, Jason. In my opinion, we are watching a good anime, but it's about a character getting stuck in a bad anime. They talk about how it had bad reviews, it has plot holes, it didn't make a lot of money. And it's referencing older anime that were like that, and animated movies. My wife has a bunch of, hey, I've never heard of this, but she grew up watching it. So to her, it was awesome and she loved it. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. I have Space Jam. It happens.
Armitage, Iria.
Yeah, like, exactly. Classics for Jeremy in modern day.
Yes.
It's like, did that really work out as well as we thought it did?
Maybe not.
And this is a love letter to those because they came before, right? They paved the way. Part of that is, hey, remember when we used to do magical girl transformations over and over again and they were long and it's a love letter to where anime came from. And I actually agree. I'm like, oh my God, the 5th time I've seen this transformation, we can go to a faster version. I understand you spent a lot of money on this scene, but we can speed this up. So I actually don't 100% disagree with you that they were a little bit annoying. But I felt like they were important to what this anime is trying to do. I don't like the character Yunio. I found him annoying. But he also felt very much like a call out to actual anime characters who existed in that time. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what they would do in it. They'd be like, oh, here's warriors and stuff, and this cute little thing we can sell is following along with the story. So
yeah, backing up a little bit, like I get everything you just said. Like the story pretty much conveyed a lot of that.
Right.
However, I'm trying to ingest why that should like either skew my opinion or make me like rethink how some things appeared. Like what, like, I guess what's your overall point regarding my criticism so far?
that they need to be applied through proper context. I get it. I guess it is fair to just take this as its own on its whole. Hey, this character is bad, and I don't like this character or the way they did this scene. But this anime was definitely trying to accomplish something, and I think it accomplished it very well. Of hey, this is what the movie they're in, Tale of Perishing, feels so familiar to me, and I'm like, I can't put my finger on it. There's no specific movie I can name that it's copying, but I swear I've seen it. Like whatever it's referencing, I've probably seen it a dozen times in a dozen terrible anime movies, 90s, whatever came on the Sci-Fi Channel or Tudami, I would gobble up, or what we could find to rent at Blockbuster Video. I watched all these terrible stuff.
The pave the way thing definitely makes sense to me. The continued love of those things past a particular point doesn't resonate with me. I'll give you a good example. I adored MacGyver, the show, as a kid.
Yeah.
My favorite thing. I watched 3 episodes probably 3 years ago, and I was like, this is hot garbage.
Yes.
And it didn't make sense, and the like gadgets and stuff that they would do, like he makes a plane to then like try and like dive off a cliff. Anyways, the pave the way argument I totally resonate with. That makes sense. You're standing on the shoulders of giants. This is terrible, but I still love it because of like either nostalgia or I just resonate with it because I found it as a kid. That doesn't do anything for me.
This is more passionate than that. I don't think it's something where she can ever like separate herself from this art because it was so integral to her. Like it sparked her development of even drawing as an interest.
I understand the explanation. It does not resonate with me because I don't feel that thing about anything. I'm trying to rack my brain. Is there anything like that for me? That like there's some games that I remember from, back in the 90s that I just absolutely adored, and I go back and play them today, and like I can't get
Jurassic
20
Park.
minutes into it.
Jurassic Park. Remember the Jurassic Park game? Terrible.
Oh,
I didn't like it back then. It was terrible.
I loved it.
No, I love the
remember that
challenge
wrong?
of it. No, okay. Raptor Part was probably fun for like the first half a level, and then it got ridiculously hard. Grant was the most infuriating experience I think I'd ever played in any video game. I would have rather tried to beat Master Blaster.
But we see this kind of stuff all the time with like in games, like Inscription. It was like, hey, this is just a card game, and then suddenly you're playing it in a retro style, and it's referencing older game styles that aren't.
How dare you? How dare you compare Inscription to this anime? That is offensive.
It did the same thing.
Inscription was so good.
and Pony Island is great. I'm very excited for Pony Island 2. Like these are all fantastic, but they're referencing like Pony Island. It's an amazing game with huge meta story all behind it. It's amazing. But the actual gameplay is based on crappy old games we would play on our Apple IIs. And you put it in the big floppy disk, and it's like, oh, I'm running left to right, and I had to jump over the thing, and it was terrible. Now, that didn't make the game Pony Island bad because I recognize what it's referencing, and then they added more to it. And I think that's exactly what's happening here with Zenshu. They're referencing old bad anime, but then adding a layer both to A, show why it's to be appreciated, and B, fix the rougher edges. Like the background animation in The Tale of Perishing is bad. It looks like 90s. It's fuzzy. It's not. It's like almost watercolor paints.
Actually, most of the world looks very 90s, and actually, I think they did a pretty decent job with a lot of the animations of like the up close characters. I agree. The background stuff was like, some of
But
it
it
wasn't
looked
even
authentic.
animated. Some of it wasn't even animated. They were just keyframes that were done really well,
Yeah.
and they just panned.
I got worried in the first episode because that happened for a very long period of time. It was like 30 or 40 seconds where it was like 10 frames.
But that's what they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to be like, hey, this character is bad for these reasons is fair in the scope of just this, but it was a choice and a reference to something specific. It wasn't like they wrote this character poorly. They are making a specific choice about this character. It's not a failure on the creator's part. It's maybe a failure on the watcher's part. That's what I'm saying.
And let's be clear here. I haven't said anything bad about Uni. I just said he was fine.
Yeah, well, I hated Uni.
Well, you need to take his character in context of what he's referencing, and
I am, because in no way does he ruin the story for me, because he serves the purpose of referencing what he was. Now, it is on his own. I find the character annoying. I don't like the design, but I loved what they were saying with him. Doing with him.
They were saying that Luke is actually a brony.
Yes, and I'm down with that.
Or is Uni just R2D2?
Because we never really understand R2D2, so he could be saying the same thing.
I would say QJ is closer, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, your guys' thoughts on the Elf Warrior Eminem?
I just saw that as you said it.
Guys, I've tried writing this woman's name so many times in my notes. I've tried saying it so many times. I can't do it. I'm calling her Eminem. You can call her whatever you want. I'm calling her Eminem.
I love it.
I think the idea of her was better than the actual character, because I think she was so bland and so lifeless in all of her scenes. It was really tough to connect with her as a character. I think she did a pretty good job when it came to her, like, God, episode 9 or 10, when she's counseling Natsuko. She actually has some nice words of wisdom. I like her dark arc that we'll get to, but just kind of a flat character, honestly.
See, I actually agree with Jason here. I found her to be really flat the vast majority of the time. I loved their justification and explanation for it, and I loved the dark arc. It was great. I thought that they could have done something more long lasting, have, more interesting repercussions for that dark arc, but it resolved so quickly. And so to me, that kind of felt like it was a wasted opportunity for that character to develop and grow. It was just like an immediate arc for her. She just changed, not even because of any decision she made, but because of, well, essentially a magic spell. And so, yeah, I wasn't super happy about that. She felt like she was a background character to support everything else. And I also wanted to mention, when you were saying you couldn't think of the anime, this has vibes for me of like Record of Lodoss War.
Record of Lodoss War. I had thought of that.
Yeah.
You guys, did you ever see the movie The Last Unicorn? I didn't.
Oh, heck yeah.
But from what I know about The Last Unicorn, I also got vibes of that, because I understand it's pretty dark, especially for a kids animated movie. yeah, there's also a unicorn in this, and that was animated by a Japanese studio.
Was it?
I looked it
Now
up because I was like, "Is that an anime? I don't think that's an anime," and it's not.
No.
But it was animated by a Japanese studio, so they probably do count it a little bit.
Oh wait, was it another? Because I know that like the Lord of the Rings, the old one that was animated, that was done by the predecessor
Yeah, that's
to
right.
Ghibli.
Yeah, you're
So I
right.
wonder if
I don't know if it's the same studio. I do have a question for you, Jeremy. I know you're busy in research and you said you agree with Jason, but he also mentioned that he felt the character opened up near the later parts. Did you
uh
feel the same about Eminem, or did she stayed flat the whole time?
She kind of stayed flat the whole time for me. If she did open up and say anything, I thought it was uncharacteristic for her. Um, it was just like the background speaking. It didn't really, to me, feel like it was her speaking.
Okay. I I liked the character because I thought that she was a great call out to how there used to just be flat background characters who are generic elf archer in these kind of stories. And
Dietland had
then
more personality.
and then due to the alterations of Natsuko, she opens up as a character and then starts serving a purpose beyond just I shoot arrows. She, helps Natsuko realize she's part of the team and actually is a major integral part of saving the day at the end. I again thought that's what they were going for. She's supposed to be perceived as very flat and then brought to life in the story by Natsuko's interventions. And we find out the reason she's flat, like there was cause for it, right? Whereas
Mhm.
in the original anime movie pretending exist, uh, she wouldn't have been. She was just a very flat background character. Suddenly an event happened to her. No one even knew why.
Yeah.
And everyone just accepted it. It was a plot hole. This is like, oh yeah, there's a reason she acts this way. It's not just a plot hole and serving a trope purpose as a background character. I really like that. I thought that was a cool reference to again older anime, and then playing with it and developing it further. We're gonna be saying this stuff a lot. Okay, thoughts on QJ the robot?
Ugh.
Uh, it's, he's definitely a call out to that annoying plot device, drive the story character that calls out for narrative devices and the bad guys coming. Kind of
No,
irritating.
yeah, I did not like QJ, but this is the one character that I did see coming as far as like they called it out early on where she's like, "Oh man, you always are on the charging station whenever something bad happens, so you can never warn anybody." And so I was like, "Okay, that is definitely a trope." And they did call it out, but I still hated him through like the vast majority of the show. He was still useless, absolutely useless. And then there came a moment where he kind of pivoted. He didn't
His
pivot.
Independence Day moment.
Yeah, basically, exactly. And I thought that was really cool. It added a depth to him that was not there before. I could see you saying the same thing about this character and me agreeing with it more here.
Okay. Yeah. Um, however, I found him a little bit. He was there. I was surprised they went with him, except for she calls out the fact that character's death flag, and then this character death flags really hard, and she at no point says, "Oh, I should have recognized that death flag." Like I just,
I wonder if it's because he didn't die in the original story, and so she
she
just
just
never even
assumes.
considered the possibility. Yeah.
But yeah, mostly QJ was fine. I was actually I found what they chose to do with him interesting. Besides, you know, how they set him up, but the character himself was just kind of like, oh, okay, you are also here.
He planted vegetables.
He shot little lasers out of his forehead
He did do that. And then he had to go charge.
and defend the desk. He's the desk defender.
Uh-huh.
So so Jason can't complain. They literally put in the story. There's someone defending the desk.
Oh, I can complain.
Oh,
He'll find a way.
not correctly though. That's She argues with them because again she thinks they're not real and they think she's a crazy person in the desert, and so they leave. And then she goes to the castle town, and while watching the events in the town and realizing she's seen them all of it hundreds of times in the movie she loves, that she must be in the movie. And her first thought is, well, I'm gonna eat some of that delicious and you know what?
Anime food.
You cut out on anime food.
And then she warned them about the void attack, and then the void attack. And she was right. And she's watching because this is the scene where Yunio dies. Yay. But she had grabbed onto her peg bar when she died, and it came with her to this magical world, and it starts talking to her and telling her she's got to change the scene. So she does her
new fates must be drawn.
New fates must be drawn.
This is my biggest contention with the entire story, by the way. But anyways, keep going.
Really? No. Why?
Is that what it says every time?
Every time, new fates must be drawn. Oh, what's it saying in the sub?
It says you need to draw. You need to draw.
Oh, it's explicitly in the dub says fate, and that's what was tripping me up on a lot of this, because obviously fate cannot be changed.
Destiny was changed.
Wait, so your biggest thing is my definition of the word fate says that's not possible?
No, I'm saying it's a contradiction that she's got this magical power to change fate. Yeah, fate does not change.
Well, it's kind of that's a thing in most stories. It's like, can you change your fate?
Change your fate.
Then change it.
She did.
No. The events didn't happen the same, but the eventual ends all came true, just as the story was written.
They had a different epilogue.
I'm just Googling change your fate to see how many things show up.
Yeah, in the sub, it was just draw. You need to draw.
That feels like such a nitpick.
What are we just not supposed to pay attention to the meanings of words? Like,
well, I think changing fate is a common theme for anime. Like, can you solve this problem? No, I'm fated to have this. And whether that fate is real or whether it's just a fake thing that you're told to believe. And I know that this is a story written by a director, so fate is a little bit more imposed, but she's also another director. She should be able to change it.
Well, not according to her, because it's a shipped product.
Well, I mean, she makes a lot of changes and then later realizes it's not necessarily still the story that she loved. She's not being true to it, and so she changes the direction she's going. I don't want to get into that part too much, but she definitely changes the fate.
I would love to know if the dub either has a misunderstanding of what that line is supposed to be, or if there is a looser if there was just a looser like translation.
Transliteration.
Yeah.
Transliteration, I think they do. So it's how they want, it's how the person translating it interprets it into something. So
because you know, even though the sub didn't say that, was that our intention is my question.
It's also a super common phrase.
Common or not, it has a meaning.
Yeah, it's about, hey, that predetermined course, break it anyway. Like it
and they didn't break it.
Well, they did for a long time.
And then ultimately she did.
Yeah, Uni should have died right here. And the fact that he didn't means that fate was changed because it was pushed out until later.
Until later. That means fate is eventually going to do its original task.
Yeah, but if you can even delay it, then you've changed fate. And then afterwards, she fixed it, and it's permanently changed. So that qualifies as a final change. So that's 2 ways she changed it:
It's
a
gross.
temporary change and a permanent one.
This is freaking me out. It's like saying, someone said touch the sky. You can't touch the sky. It's not a physical thing you can touch. Why would you say such a thing?
A little literal.
That is such a bastardized misrepresentation of what I'm talking about.
It's a common saying.
Fairly similar.
Okay,
Okay, you know what? Subaru, when he wants to change his fate, he has to go through very specific things, and then the thing that was going to happen to him doesn't happen anymore because he moves past it.
Yes.
Well, it
Yes.
happens to him a lot until he figures out how to make it not happen.
Right.
So it
I'm sorry.
technically happened.
I don't know if I want to just dig in and never let this go, or just move past for the sake of the podcast. You know what? Let's go to the audience. Guys, can you say change your fate, or is that a oxymoron?
That's not my point at all, but yeah, please give us your opinion.
Your point? You said you can't say change your fate because that is the opposite of the definition of what fate is, which is what an oxymoron is.
My point is the events of the movie play out anyways, even though she's constantly told to change her fate. So the fate doesn't get changed, even though she uses her powers. That's my point.
So your complaint is she fails at her attempt to change fate?
Yes. Like, why is she there if, like, and why
Because
is
she
this?
ultimately succeeds. She has to go through her character arc and then realize how to.
But the fate of the movie
purposefully use
doesn't
her
change until after.
Yes,
It does.
the ultimate fate of the movie changes.
Well, you're seeing
No,
the
it's like an
ending
after
of-
credit scene, basically.
No, even
It
the
never
director,
happened.
even the director says a happy ending is not a good ending. The ending of the movie changed.
In the
But-
sub, she said, "Easygoing simpletons think happy endings are all there are."
Oh, I like that better.
What was the bird in the ending?
Yes.
No, that was prior to that. She said that was prior, because she was like, "I'm putting things back on track. We are going for this tragic ending, and you're not going to ruin it." And that was her statement of it.
She flies by in the everything's back to normal, everyone's alive again scene.
Okay.
She flies
you see
by.
her shadow. You do.
No, you see her complain.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I remember her
I
shadow.
don't either.
But...
Anyways, like the and that I guess like break. Okay, there we go. Is she in a movie or is she in another world?
Movie.
In another world movie.
In another world movie.
What?
Are you asking if it's real or not?
Yes, because obviously
it is real.
It is
This really
not real.
happened. It is 100% real. 100% happened.
0% real.
Okay, you need to rewatch the ending then, because it's 100% real.
No, because that was a figment of her imagination.
She has a glowing unicorn horn in her hair.
It doesn't glow. It's just merch.
It's absolutely glowing.
That's in her mind.
Based on your choice? Like,
Yeah.
where does the anime present the glowing horn as imaginary?
I never saw it glow.
Then you missed it. You also missed the Crocs. I don't know what to tell you.
It did not glow when she was back in the real world. It glowed when she was in the fairy tale world.
No. In the final scene, she sees the heroes across the street walking the other way, and the horn in her hair is glowing, which is showing how they found her.
Because the horn was glowing?
Yes.
Why didn't they talk to her?
They didn't notice her yet. Her face isn't covered.
How did they find her if they didn't notice her?
The horn. Yunio can track his horn.
Well, then they knew where she was.
How'd they get to the kingdom of reality?
Yeah.
We aren't told. They just if Unio can travel across voids, he can probably figure a way to the kingdom of reality. I guess it's magic. I don't know. The final scene, it's specific that the horn is glowing because that is telling us that's how they found her.
Okay,
Did
so
not see that horn glow. I gotta rewatch that.
if we're gonna go with the premise that this is a separate reality, there is no ending unless the world ends.
Right,
it
which
did.
is
There's no
what
final scene.
That's
Well,
what there was. That was
and that's
how the world ended.
she says that in the ending. She says, "Look, the movie ends this way, but this isn't the movie. This is our story, and we're changing it." And she brings the world back.
Oh my
And
god,
so,
it does glow. God dang it.
It's we're
Okay,
not
it's real.
we're not here for this world's history. We're here for her story.
yes,
So,
Trying to derail us.
same thing as Never Ending Story, Wizard of Oz. Like, this is a common thing about isekai. It's about the character.
no, okay. So, but my point is, if this is a reality and the ending of the movie is the final scene of the movie, that happened in this reality. She then, after those events, creates this paradise. She did not change fate. She just resurrected everybody.
Well, previously, where the movie ended was the end of the world.
Right.
Period.
Right,
Like, there
yes.
was no paradise afterwards. So if you can fix it and provide a paradise afterwards, you have effectively changed fate, because all those characters who died, well, they're back now, and they weren't before. Their fate was to be gone
If she wasn't there, they would stay dead.
Yep.
Their fate was to die for all eternity.
permanently.
She has brought them back to life, so thus their
Okay.
fate has been changed.
Fine.
She
I'll
couldn't change
concede
the
that.
event. Like, she could change the details about the event, but she couldn't change the overall the core of
Because the
event.
world
everybody still
ended.
had to die. And the world did end.
Yes,
Mhm.
the world
Yeah. That's my point, is that she
But
did
then their
not
love
change.
brought it back together.
Ugh.
You're saying that an event still happened that was a pivotal event, but afterwards she undid the event, basically.
Right.
Undid the consequences of the event, which changed fate.
basically means she failed up until she succeeded.
And who would try beyond succeeding?
There's nothing. There's no issues there. It's a full story. Oh my gosh! And she wore Crocs. Horn glowed. She wore Crocs. Okay.
That stupid horn.
Now we gotta go like through the fast version because we settled so long on what fate was doing.
Hey, we have to
all right.
answer the important questions.
Unio goes to sacrifice himself. She pulls out the peg bar. The whole animation plays. She starts drawing. She animates the beast from Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. If you know that movie, it's very important to. It was shown to my kids when they were growing up. They didn't like Disney movies. They liked that movie. I've seen it dozens of times, and I was so excited to see it.
It is legally distinct, however.
It is legally distinct because it also has like some Neon Genesis Evangelion armor on it, which the other one was just like a big fleshy mound with a mouth hole that shot energy. Anyway, it shows up and it kills the bugs, and Unio is saved, and she passes out. Which I like the passing out because she's like, that was 3 days of animation, so she is then forced to sleep because she's just animated for 3 days in a compressed time frame and is now forced to bounce to 3 days later. I thought that was cool. Because I thought they were gonna like, oh, she trained it, now it doesn't happen, but nope, it was just a rule that whatever she animated, she had to pay for it. All right. Now Luke is all like, hey, what's going on after the 3 days? We get a scene though of him feeding her food, and he put her hair up in a tie because he wants to see her face. Then the mayor, come on, pink mustache but all muscle and ripply, classic.
Wearing the thong underwear.
Yeah, almost naked.
And a cape.
Constantly striking a pose, even when he's in serious conversations.
Yep.
She tries to explain to them, you guys are an anime, and they're like, what is that? It doesn't really
A
help.
movie.
Movie. The elder Bao Bao who's like this little Yoda lady. She's she's like, well, then you should help the heroes. And she's like, well, I don't really want to help the heroes. And Luke is like, no women on the team. And Eminem's like, dude,
He's like, you're not. I'm not thinking about you. You don't really qualify.
you,
You're an
you
elf.
don't count as a woman.
Elf first, woman second.
Okay, she tries to find a way home. She can't do it, so she goes back to their house to get food, and she decides she is gonna join them because the heroes get free food, and that's what she wants. So she's now joining the heroes, but they say she can only join if the attack that she's predicting in 3 days comes true. It does come true. They're flying ones, just like she predicted, and so she has to find a way to fight them. And she uses Maycross missiles
Yeah.
or
That was
Robotech
awesome.
for us,
Mhm.
Americans.
She also runs into her boss as a dog person, which makes me
Yeah.
wonder if
Yeah.
this is a separate reality or not, because
No.
that just
Oh,
seems
God. They
that seems
explained it.
so in her head.
No, they explained it. Okay, we watched The Boy and the Heron. And do you remember how the heron was based on a real person that Miyazaki knew? That's what this, and she talks about how her old director used to work with the president.
Yeah.
The old director put a character in referencing the real person, and that's why she's in both. And they
Okay.
explained that explicitly.
So essentially, anybody that makes a story creates an alternate universe.
Yes.
But nothing in that universe is truly alive.
Maybe they even paint it.
Maybe they even painted.
You get mad at me for making video game references all the time.
The most popular video game right now. Putain!
I can't believe the
Man.
rules only apply to me. This is so garbage.
Can we curse in French? Is that allowed on the podcast?
Nobody knows what we're
Merde.
saying. Merde.
Oh, it's so fun to say. Learn to curse in French. It's the best. Expedition 33. We all played it. We should do a mini
Super.
but it's too late. All right. Yeah. Story.
Maycross missiles. Yeah.
Maycross missiles. Yep. The next one is the Harvest Festival, and they're all partying, and this is where Luke is going to bump into the the damsel in distress character who he'll also fall in love with. Her name is Destiny. Your guys'
Or
thoughts?
Leia.
Yeah, she's already in the bikini.
No, yeah, but also so is her dad. To be fair, like she's quite
Technically, yeah.
skimpy, but her and her dad are dressing the same, and I was like, yeah, that's completely fair. I'll allow it. No problems here.
And they live
It
in the
is
desert,
similar.
so
It is similar to Leia's, but I will not have anyone say that Leia is just a damsel in distress. I refuse.
oh yeah,
Well, she
totally
didn't
not.
Stay a
Greatest-
damsel in distress.
Greatest female character of all time. Anyway,
I don't know.
Destiny,
Ripley
though,
is a strong contender.
anyway, Destiny. You guys are. Yeah, she's gonna become a big muscle bound.
She's hilarious.
Your guys' thoughts on the character?
Yeah. She was a decent character, but she did feel very plot device-ish because we didn't get to spend a lot of time with her, and it was all about the orphanage she was trying to open. So yeah, after she gets ripped, it's really funny, but like
It's
father, like
interesting.
daughter.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting how Natsuko really influences even other characters of this world, like Destiny, because the whole reason why Destiny does this is because Natsuko needs her out of the way. Natsuko has been in love with Luke since she was a little kid, and she doesn't even realize it. And so the first thing she does is like point her in a different direction. And maybe she's also trying to prevent the tragedy that causes Luke to go nuts, um she's just getting Destiny out of the way. And so I think it's really funny because she's writing fanfic. That's what's happening here. And
You think she purposely steers her away from Luke?
I think it's subconscious.
Hmm.
I think it's a subconscious reaction because she keeps having flashbacks of Luke standing over Destiny's dead body.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's on her mind, and she's like, how do I prevent these bad things from happening? I saved Unio. I can probably save Luke too. This is one of the things, you know. And then she also, I'm sure she has some genuine um, opinions about whether or not Destiny should marry the man with the harem. but but yeah, but I thought it was really funny. It was a great gag. I tend to side more with the original director who said, "What did you do? You ruined Destiny. She's supposed to look like this, not that sack of meat." It's like, yes, please, thank you.
No. Yeah, choke me. I mean,
Her name's not Emma. Come on.
Oh my
um,
goodness.
I I love what they did with the character. They're clearly poking fun at the trope of, hey, a no agency damsel in distress, classic trope. And what if she got to make choices and wasn't just there to be saved and fall in love with the main character, and she ends up becoming this, hey, I'm going to save children. I don't need anyone to help me do it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to get strong. And she does. She becomes what she wants to be. And that, I just love that. Again, the twist that, hey, maybe those tropes were a little dated, and what would they look like today? And I love the change of it. Also, it goes into the theme. I disagree with Jeremy's take on it about the subconscious steering her away from Luke, but I'm going to hold my cards until the end because I'm a jerk.
No argument here.
Hey, at least we're not arguing about something, right?
Hey.
All right. At the Harvest Festival, somebody lets in one of these void monsters, and it changes, or its form is changed to match one of the priests, who's like this rock guy. Doesn't matter. So there's two priests, and Natsuko points out this happens in the story, but at a later point. But yeah, one of these is a monster.
Mhm.
They're like, how do we tell them apart? So she does a silly dance, and the real priest can do the silly dance, and so they're able to slay the monster. But she has to do it by drawing an animation. She draws a cat wrestler who I felt, which is crazy because they already did a Sailor Moon reference. I felt his entrance was very Tuxedo Mask, with the whole landing in the very straight up pose.
Yeah.
I know there's wrestling anime, and it's got to be referencing one, but I didn't recognize um, what it specifically was calling out. But it was cool, and the whole reason of Destiny's thing is she sees this wrestler and think he's so freaking cool. She starts wearing a mask just like him, and that's when she's like, "I'm gonna get buff like him, not like my dad, like the Cat Man," and that's what causes Destiny to change. Uh, Natsuko is suspicious of what Eminem was doing because she's the traitor.
Everyone was.
Yeah, everyone's like, isn't it weird that she's always quiet and wasn't there, and always going off to choir practice? So the next episode, they end up tailing her to her choir practice in a cemetery. Not suspicious.
Not suspicious.
I love this
Her and
entire
Luke,
scene.
yeah, her and Luke go together, and it ends up being this creepy suicide cult that is
I
so
hate tomorrow.
It's such an
hate
Indiana
tomorrow.
Jones
I
style,
hate
like
tomorrow.
seeing the Temple of Doom guys.
right. But Jeremy's got a point. Like the song is ridiculous. They're like
It's just
singing out
terrible.
loud about they're trying different spells to see if they can bring about the end of days. Basically, yeah, things are so terrible that they're giving up and they figured let's just get it over with. They leave and they keep her from Unio, but they eventually end up confronting Eminem about it. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm an elf. I've lived forever, and this world sucks. And so, can you really blame me?" And then Luke feels bad, but he comes up with a plan, which is where they're gonna make a fake Ultimate Void, which is what is supposed to be the end of the movie, right? The Ultimate Void shows up and kills everything. They're gonna make a fake one to show up and say, "Hey guys, life's worth living. Take it from me, the Ultimate Void."
Luke,
But the
master strategist.
the twist is that the ultimate plan they have is actually to kill Luke, not bring the Ultimate Void. And so Natsuko draws something else, and she ends up drawing what's his name?
Mr. Exister.
Mysterious Sister, a J-pop boy band, fancy, and for 5 minutes this becomes a musical where he and Eminem sing and dance together across the stars, and he gives flowers to everyone, and he brightens everyone's day, and everyone now wants to live.
It was so funny.
I'm so upset.
There is an anime type like this. It exists. It's a genre. People
Oh
enjoy
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not one of them. I'm not the target audience.
I thought it was poking fun at it, and that's what made it so funny to me.
Yes.
Is like it's not taking itself seriously. Like this wasn't a real solution, and then it turned out to be a real solution, and I was like, no, don't let that actually work. When the next episode comes, and she's like, no, I'm totally fine now. I'm a fangirl for Mr. Exister. Can you draw a picture for me? I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It was too easy. But this scene was so good. I laughed so hard I cried when this scene happened. It was fantastic.
Eminem apologizes, declares that she is a stan for Mr. Exister for life.
Mhm.
Luke gets flustered when Natsuko is mentioned, clearly the romance stuff. And this is where Bird Director first makes her appearance in the background watching. We'll get to her later. We get a flashback of Natsuko trying to draw about first love and not knowing anything about it. That's going to come back. And then we get a montage of battles with animation fights, and they keep winning. And in fact, she gets very cocky. And when I said this is predictable, it's very predictable story. Like the story never went anywhere. I wasn't like, this is exactly where this story is going. But whatever. Um, she gets cocky, and then Destiny's like, "Hey guys, can you go help me with the children? They won't come to the orphanage food house that I have." And
Mhm.
so they go deliver food to the kids, and then Natsuko
In the
uses like
slums.
in the slums,
Yeah.
slummy red light district, not named that, but red lights literally everywhere.
Lower levels of Coruscant.
Yep.
How many Star Wars references can we make?
You did that. That's not me. I'm not responsible for this. All right, Natsuko convinces them using her Sailor Moon poses and gets them all to whatever. Anyway, while they're going home, they see a dragon
Justice.
and Justice, and Justice
The
was a part
dragon that
of.
I can't figure out if he's a guy or a girl for like the longest time. Because the eyes, like the face is drawn like he's a lady, but he's totally a dude. It's so
I
weird. And he's
didn't get
voiced
that.
by a lady. In the sub, he's voiced like a lady. And he's voiced by a woman.
Dubby's not.
Anyways.
Troy's so uncomfortable right now.
Justice does not have a gender.
He's a dragon.
They are a dragon.
So a dragon is just not. Oh, silly.
This dragon is, apparently that's what the animator wanted. Because yes, they anyway. Dragon, and they used to be part of the team. Now they're not. It was because the dragon Justice got injured, lied about it, got drunk. End of story. Luke's upset. Natsuko starts drawing him. This is all really just to show that Luke is falling in love, and now he's getting jealous, and they end up fighting. Oh yeah, there's egg things out there. So she draws a samurai, and it loses to the ooey gooey goose. Yep.
Basically, all the egg yolk congealed into one mass and
Right.
killed him.
And it kills the samurai.
See, they needed fire. They needed justice.
And
Wait, Justice
not
can't breathe fire anymore. That's right.
right. So when Natsuko gets attacked, and the next episode starts with they did survive, but the goo crystallized at the base of the tower and is getting ready to hatch and destroy the crystal. I haven't explained. There's a crystal at the top of a tower. If it's destroyed, the world ends. The
Because it's the
ultimate
Soul
last one
Future.
of the 9. Yeah, it's
right.
basically Final Fantasy,
Final
and all the
Fantasy.
crystals are gone except the last one.
Exactly. Nailed it.
Good job, Troy.
Yeah. Luke comes up with a plan. Oh, actually, okay. There's a whole Natsuko, don't take on everything yourself. This is where Eminem like comes in and is like, hey, yeah, we shouldn't do everything ourselves. And Natsuko's like, oh, she means me and I should be better. And they come up with a plan together. And so Luke and Yunio are, this thing hatches, centipede, it eats, it doesn't matter. Big battle. And Natsuko just draws stairs, but she needs to ride Justice with her desk
This felt so
on them
contrived.
so that she can continue to draw the stairs to the parts of the tower she can't see.
So upset. Why didn't
What's
she just
crazy is that-
draw him a jetpack? Draw him better wings.
Yeah.
Draw him draw herself a floating UFO. Like
But what if she needs a jetpack later?
Oh, well,
You
what if she
can
drew it a
never
little bit
reuse
different
it.
later?
I don't know the full rules. I would imagine
Exactly.
the audience wouldn't like it if people just started using variants of jetpacks every episode.
How about powered wings? Give him a bionic wing.
This falls
Yep.
into the same trap that a lot of other shows fall into, where they introduce something so powerful way too early on, and then they never use that same level of power again for arbitrary reasons. And this is one of those scenes where it's like she could have literally drawn a giant sword to come down and like a sword of Damocles and chop this thing before it even got close to the soul feature. But no, she draws stairs because she's now believing in this power of friendship. I just this whole scene was
Teamwork.
dumb.
Power of teamwork, but sure.
So when we were playing what's that game where you drop down in a group and you kill like bugs and robots and stuff? You guys were just
Helldivers?
Helldivers 2?
Yeah, when we were playing Helldivers 2, I remember running behind you guys as you're killing everything, and I'm just like, what about teamwork? There's nothing for me to shoot.
There was plenty for you to shoot. You just didn't know how to do it.
That's true. That's teamwork. I thought it was because of her creativity. She was sorely lacking at that moment, and stairs was all she could come up with. And maybe it's because she doesn't know how to do teamwork very well. So she's like, I don't know how to draw something that will help you. I only know how to draw like frontline fighters, solve problems with brute force.
I took it as she drew what they needed that exact moment, and then she was committed to drawing that for the rest of the fight.
What's
They were
weird is that later
weren't
on
they
in the
falling
picture,
and she made stairs?
what?
What weren't they falling and she made stairs to catch them, and then from I would assume that point on she's committed to stairs.
I guess. What's weird is that later it shows that there's like a walkway that's diagonal that goes all the way up around it. So like, how did
But there's
that get there?
destruction running raining down. I don't. I didn't have an issue with it.
Super weird.
You wouldn't.
I mean, it, like I said, I think this is a little too long. I think it could have been a movie. I think most of this fight could have probably been skipped.
Hmm.
It was kind of an extra layer of character resolution that doesn't really fit the main theme. And like, yeah, okay, let's just do an episode or two to learn about teamwork, and then we'll go back to actually talking about what we want to talk about.
What kind of bugged me was that 2 characters got eaten here, and there really was no consequence for getting eaten. Whereas previous, the 9 heroes, 5 of them are dead because of encounters with these creatures. So presumably getting eaten would be a fatal event. It was kind of weird that they could just get eaten, and then when they come out, there's not even any like saliva or digestive juices.
Or do you
on them
think
or
this is
anything.
establishing that getting eaten is not a fatal event for
I'm sure
later?
it is because they do later. They have another event like that, but I just thought that was a minor annoyance of mine because well, these things aren't really that dangerous. Just go inside and stab it from the inside. Like, not that
Okay.
big of a deal. Go, Luke.
Everyone jump in
Go,
their mouths. It's their week.
go, Luke.
Uh, Luke and Justice make up now that Luke realizes that they had an injury, and Luke is in love with Natsuko thanks to conversation they have. He realizes, oh, I'm in love. All right, then we get episode 7 is a weird. It's really about Natsuko's growing up,
Mhm.
and how people kept falling in love with her, and it's not. It's important, and I really did like the stories.
Mhm.
And I think Jeremy, you want to talk a bit about like
Yeah.
being a drawer, an artist, and an animator, and what that kind of hobby stuff did. But for plot recap, just know that we see three different stories of three different people who fell in love with her. She couldn't give a flying hoot because she was into drawing.
Yes. Yeah, and that's basically the point of it is like when you're obsessed with something. Because Tanya told me stories when she was young and she was drawing, she would do the same thing where like, she'd see somebody in class and she's like, "Oh, I need to draw this person, this boy," and then the boy gets the wrong idea because he thinks there's something more there when there really isn't. And that kind of scenario, it was funny because with that history, she actually really really liked this anime because she kept saying, "This is wow, I never realized it looked like that from the outside." Like she looks insane and callous and unfeeling, but I know exactly where she's coming from and it's none of that. It's just an obsession and a complete like immersion in the thing that you're interested in.
Hyper
Um
focus. Yeah.
a hyper
Run
focus, yeah.
faster.
Yes, exactly. And so I just thought that was really interesting because I got to get that perspective, from someone sitting right next to me watching it. And I would never have felt that way just if I was sitting there by myself watching the show. I think I would have been like, okay, silly, boring. Um, so that was kind of cool to me. I liked that episode a bit more because of that perspective.
Just for of these three stories, I really love the first two. The third one about the college video director, the character and the line delivery in the English dub were really over the top, and it kind of soured it a little bit for me. I was like, oh, that's a
Well,
lot of extra.
he was also really dumb because he had a pompadour. So
Right.
He was my favorite. Well, I
He's
mean,
just a dandy guy
he's a
in
dandy
anime
guy in space.
in
So
college.
hate you both.
and he did make it to space. Um, so like when the chair lit on fire, the dub was actually like more over the top than with the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're like, "Hey, this guy's over the top. Go for it," and he
Mhm.
did. It just like the other two, I felt emotional connection, like a little girl being like caught up in another girl's passion, and then the boy, the runner boy, he pushes himself, and every little scene was so good. And then there's just this guy who's like, "I'm crazy and I'm fired. Everything's on fire," and I'm like, this kind of loses some of the sweetness of the other ones. And they had to be different.
Yeah.
It just that one didn't work for me. She wakes up and the director confronts her. The bird. Uh, Jeremy, your thoughts on the director?
I love this character. She is really funny. She's just constantly flying around saying, "It's no use. It's no use." And there's actually a nice sequence of her doing that throughout the day, and Natsuko is trying to like catch her and stop her, and it's just becoming this minor, well, major annoyance that she just keeps doing this. Um, but what I find so interesting about this character is that it's her world. She wrote it, she made the characters, she decided what they were going to do. People didn't like it. People thought it wasn't that great. It was a flop, right? But it's her world and it's materialized here since it's real. It's materialized as this real place and these characters are real and they have a story to play out. She's God here. And another God just showed up and is meddling with her story. And that conflict is very interesting to me, especially because this relationship between the two of them is such that Natsuko kind of reveres her. This impression was so great from this show that she doesn't really want to change it. Uh, I mentioned before fan fiction. I never really had much good to say about fan fiction. I don't really like it. It's kind of silly and annoying for the most part. But that's what this was. It was an exploration of how this character would take the works of this director and then write her own fan fiction about it. Well, what if the characters did this? What if we solved this problem this way? What if we fixed it like this? But by the time she did all that, she started realizing after the encounter with this director, uh, this are they supposed to be laughing? Is that what this story is supposed to be like? This isn't this isn't the same story. And then all of the sudden, things started cascading in a different direction, back toward what the story originally was. And then she fixed them. And so I think this interaction between her and the director is kind of her way of saying, my fan fiction took it too far from what the original story was, and the original theme, and the original things the characters went through, and who they were. And they still need to go through those things, and subconsciously, sure, I'm sure there was no deliberate choice on her part to do that, but that's what I read into why everything suddenly shifted back into the previous direction. um and yeah, so I thought it was absolutely fantastic having another isekai character in this world, especially one with so much power and such a connection to the world.
Jason?
Do we have evidence that she's actively making things happen?
She
The
keeps saying
bird?
it's no use. It's no use. I'm assuming that's because she's going to make sure the story goes the direction that she wants it to go.
That's not my. You could be right. My reading is that the dominoes I've laid are so intricate, no amount of dominoes you remove could alter the path.
Yeah, that's possible too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's been isekai'd here. Is that also established? Like this
Mhm.
is her when she died, she came here.
Matter of fact, it seems to be her isekai, and Natsuko has invaded it. And she even
Yeah.
points out like the oh god, what's it called? The bar she has.
The peg bar.
Peg bar. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. The bird doesn't
That's
have
mine.
one.
That's the bird.
Yeah, it was the bird's old one, but she doesn't have one herself in this
Right.
world. She doesn't have the ability to summon a desk in anime that we know of. She has a stopwatch, and she said it was her gift for this world. But yeah, so sure.
Yeah, because it just engenders a lot of different questions. But anyways, this is weird, is probably the best way I could put it. Because it's like if she's just like been existing here, how long has she been here? Like since she
her death.
died? And so like how far into the series is she? Has she run through this series multiple times?
No, she died just a few days earlier, or
Yeah.
like we were reading the news story about her death when the anime
Oh,
started.
I assumed that it had been years ago, and she was just looking at her obituary. Okay, no, okay, it was just days ago. Well, okay, but why did she come as a bird and then Natsuko came as a person?
Natsuko asked her that too, and she said, "I've been given wings." So I
So
have
yeah,
no idea.
my interpretation is like she's been isekai. She's been reincarnated in her own story and getting to see it play out. That's like her gift for death. Natsuko, who's having a near-death experience, has like stowed away and because she was holding her peg bar, sitting at her desk, and dying the same way while watching her movie and reading about her death, that she has snuck her way into this world. She's not supposed to be here. I think there's more to it. I think it's also, hey, I
Her
need to know
connection.
what is first love, and she gets taken to
Mhm.
her first love. But this is not supposed to be Natsuko's isekai, is my point.
Right. I don't know. I think it
It's
just
like if you went and got turned into a slime. Became a bird.
I think it's just kind of like if she's not the one manipulating events to make sure the story happens the way it does in the movie, or it's not a full show, it's just a movie, right?
The movie.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, if she's not manipulating events to do that, then like why do we get all sorts of changes of void monsters moving forward? That just didn't sit right with me.
So I have a theory based on the twist about Luke. I think that the void monsters are connected to him, and as long as he hadn't been purified, so to speak, this was never going to end. They were fighting
Okay.
a war of attrition.
I like that. It's like literally his despair is generating them.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
So Jeremy mentioned why he thinks they're turning or why events are heading back the way they are.
Mhm.
And I think there's something to that. What I liked, because you talked earlier about her excellence stopping her from being able to continue forward. The fact that she was so good of an artist, now she's having trouble making another movie because there's so high expectations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw the void creatures turning into her creations, a like literal version of that. Her own excellence has now come back to bite her and hold her back, and stopping her from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, hey, I was such a great virtuoso and made this great anime. Now I have to make a movie and somehow exceed it. So now all her creations, who were so awesome and won easily, but now she has to think of something to surpass it. And again, is running into the exact same problem she is in the real world. It's literally just a repeat, but now with danger and stakes and
So when
character.
so when she became a virtuoso, she got 200 plus damage percent.
Let's not reference
Oh, I
Bacon.
see. I see.
We need to establish some rules here. And and let's not talk about Star Wars, Jason. Before I know you're about to drop a reference, don't do it.
Actually, now I'm confused.
um, I was also thinking about the fact that, like, even in episode 1, the fact that she would say, I don't know what to draw. I don't know what to draw. I thought that was an immediate, like, one-to-one of, oh, you got artist block in the real world.
Yeah,
And
and it's
you get it
interesting.
here.
Everything she draws was posters in the studio. She's not thinking of original concepts. She is copying old work.
Hmm. Interesting. Which is what she did as a kid. And if you look at episode, what was it, 7, where she had all the flashbacks, or we got to see her growing up, even the show that she got so widely acclaimed for, it wasn't hers. Like, she took the reins on the project and changed everything and threw his storyboards out, but those were his characters.
Well, that was
That
just
was
a
his
music.
story.
That was just a music video.
With the girl with the gun that looked like she was in a sailor uniform.
Yeah,
Are
that was just a college project.
Are you talking about the college project that she took
Why
over?
were there, like, director, and because he was watching something that came out of the studio, and then he was like, oh my god, she's the director in the studio,
Yeah,
and it had that character.
he decided to make her his rival and started following her career. So, and
Mhm.
she had worked on the Mr. Exister anime first, then got her own anime where
But the
she
character
became.
in her anime was the character that she was drawing in college with
Was
him.
it?
Yes. It was the girl in
Oh,
the sailor uniform with the gun arm.
oh my God, you're right. I didn't look. She was wearing shoes that cropped.
Do you guys even watch this anime? Like,
Oh my. That's a really good detail pickup. I missed that.
Yeah. So she's never really come up with something that was completely original.
Also, she
This
never does. Not in
Well,
this.
this new story might actually be the first original thing, this love story, because it's from her own experience.
Yeah, the movie. I'm just saying, like in the final battle, she's just
Yeah,
drawing.
even then it's not.
It's
Yeah.
not a new
It's
thing.
just Luke over. It was what she knows how to draw with her eyes closed.
Huh. That's interesting. She's never created something original herself.
well, to bring it back, I didn't really like the bird character.
Oh, I thought she was fine. I like the lore implications. I don't think she got involved, but I do think she knows enough about the background of the story that she's like, yeah, And
Pretty
I
cool.
think Jeremy's spot on with his theory that as long as Luke is falling into despair, nothing can stop the void from coming because he's generating it.
Mhm.
He's the chosen one.
There is another.
No, I was doing the Matrix, but you're right. I Star Wars
Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah, nicely worked.
He wants to go. He ends up going on a date with her. He's been telling her he loves her, and she's been ignoring him. And he eventually gets advice from Justice and takes her to a hot springs. And they have a date in the hot springs.
It's not an anime unless there's a hot spring episode.
There's gonna be a hot spring episode. I like the hot spring date. I thought it was. I love the part where he jumps up naked to fight because she groaned when getting in the water like a real person, like oh, and he's like
Okay.
monster, and he cover up. Then he sees a void creature in the distance, and he runs out in a towel to attack it, and she throws on her big hoodie to go help. It now shoots lasers. This is our first hint that her creations are now getting implemented into the void. And they have to work together to fight it, but they have fun doing it. And she draws a Gundam, but it's not technically a Gundam.
And they didn't use completely stock photography or stock animation for the transformation scene because
Yeah, they took
she
her
doesn't
pants
have
off.
pants. Yep.
Suck it, Jason. She's not wearing pants.
That's right. Fresh
Don't-
animation.
I'd say how weird it is you guys are focusing on that, but that's fine.
I actually cared. Like when the scene started, I was like, is she gonna have pants on? Is she gonna have pants on? Did they actually draw a version of this to fit the scene? And they did.
Hey, when he kills the bug, doing his Luke Skywalker pose, screaming that he loves her, her heart goes ba-bump, which is a callback to the flashback episode. Everyone goes ba-bump when they fall in love. She's looking for the
What do
ba-bump.
they do?
Ba-bump.
No.
Yeah.
They go squee.
No.
No, that's
Yep.
way worse.
Everybody
Ba-bump
in
is
the
way
set
better.
went, squee.
Oh man.
Yeah, in the
English
dub they
is-
say ba-bump.
I'm looking for the
Interesting.
ba-bump.
Yeah, that's why it was really funny when she walks out of the corridor. Are you in love? Do you know what it's like to squee? I'm like, what?
Okay,
That just sounds bad.
there's a little bit of a recap in the next episode, and then she's being awkward around Luke because she's in love, and she confides to QJ that about the ending of the movie and what Luke's going to be the ultimate void. He falls into despair. He destroys the crystal himself, and then he becomes the monster that ends the world. QJ's like, that's not going to happen. Everything's going to be great from now on because of you. Uh-oh, monsters detected. And they go fight the monsters, and the monsters are using the forms that she has drawn. The airship now has the same missiles she's made. She decides to draw a jet, but gets distracted. Yunio's using his self-destruct spell, and she throws it away, and the desk gets blown up, and QJ sacrifices himself to stop the void and dies.
Okay, there's one interesting thing about this that you skipped, and that was that when she was telling QJ about what happened, she mentioned, because he asked, she mentioned, oh no, you're the only one that survives.
Yes, he survives.
Everybody else dies. And so his sacrifice is actually really cool here because he's like, okay, I guess I stood in the back too long. I'm gonna go sacrifice myself because that's not right. That was cool.
Except that ends up not mattering.
Well, yeah, but that's not his fault. But yeah, I agree. It was still annoying.
I disagree with your statement, but do you want to wait till it's in the story?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just keep arguing. All right. So the events of the original movie start kind of happening anyway. The town has grown suspicious, but now they're suspicious of Natsuko. It doesn't help that the cultists come back and are spreading flyers about how she is the chosen one to kill them all. And then a mob is forming. Probably one of the meanest mobs I've ever seen. They are so insane. They're like they go from 0 to 100 so fast.
They like raid the room, start ripping things out of the drawers.
Right. The guy, he wants to tell everyone outside they found evidence that she's wrong, and instead of opening the window, just shatters it. Oh, we found the evidence, and everyone's like, "Yay!" Like weird mob,
Mm-hmm.
Natsuko talks with Bao Bao. Bow Wow's like, oh no, we always were gonna lose. It was nice to have like hope. So the 9 heroes are just like a feel good about things until we're dead kind of situation.
I actually
See?
really like
Fate never changed. Anyways, keep
that.
Till it does. We've been over. All right. And then Eminem and her two elf friends go inside the tower to start working on who knows what. And I should have figured out way earlier, and I didn't until way late. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that seems pretty obvious what they're actually working on instead of
Yeah, same. I thought, was that pottery? What are they doing?
yeah, I was like, oh, they're building pottery, and then the second time they're building it, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that
I-
checks.
I
It's a robot.
100% thought they were like building some sort of ancient like evil vessel because she had a return to evilness.
Yeah.
But they're okay, so they're building QJ, and Jason, you said it's a waste that he died. But I just want to point out this only happened because of the change to Eminem. Because of what Natsuko has done for her, making her not just a background character who's bland, now she is taking extra steps, bringing the character back to life, and that will help save the day ultimately.
Or
Literally,
or it's a
no deuce,
correction by the world to ensure fate happens the way it needs to, and that QJ is the only survivor as the world ends.
but he dies again. So
But
you're
he is the
sorry.
final survivor.
I'm just saying, it's not a Deus Machina. Machina. It's they set it up. You know, they pay it off.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, with Eminem.
Ah, okay. Right.
The scribble voids. So these are voids who are based on her scribble work that she threw away and have the ability to absorb each other.
Yeah, it's like they're all one big scribble that's split into
Right.
multiple pieces.
So they're attacking. The mob's attacking. The cult is fighting the mob because they're all like, "Yay, Natsuko's gonna kill us!" And the mob's like, "No, Natsuko's gonna kill us." The events of the original movie start playing out.
As
Natsuko
fate
gets it.
intended.
Natsuko plays the part of Destiny.
Natsu's now in the part of Destiny. She gets eaten by a void. Yudio gets sucked in with her, and then all the villagers stab it like 1,000 times.
I was like, why weren't these guys helping out before?
And they're like, "Oh, Yunio was in there. Not our fault. All right, yay!" Luke kind of goes a little crazy, but not fully crazy because he's holding on to the peg bar, and basically things are just going bad everywhere. Then Luke, the peg bar dissolves, and this is where Luke goes really crazy, like he does in the original movie. He's like, you
Oh.
know, I hate everything. You're not making the point you think you're making because we weren't saying this part of the story changed.
Guess we're not drawing new fates. Anyways, go on.
Right, they failed. That was the point. She failed.
And then
Anyway,
recovers.
she awakens inside of her movie studio, except for now everyone's face is covered by their hair and everyone's mad at her and she's a failure and what?
Just hated this scene where everyone's hair is covered to like give her some sort of spooky ooh.
It's not spooky.
We're hiding
it's...
again and we're depressed. It's like, okay.
It's a separation.
Thank you.
Yeah. The barrier is back.
She was putting up a wall with people, and now in her despair world, everyone's put up a wall around her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a failure, and everyone hates her work, and her movie sucks.
Which is funny because if you actually, like, in the first episode, she's scrolling through tweets, and I paused the tweets and read them. Half of them are praise and half of them are insults, which is very realistic. You know, it doesn't matter what you make. You're always going to have people that love it and people that hate it.
And you're going to focus on the insults.
That's right. And it's funny because it kind of gets passed off like she doesn't focus on the insults until this scene where you realize, yeah, those really bugged you.
Yunio tracks his broken horn that broke earlier. She's been using it as a hairpin, so she has it, and he tracks it, so he's able to find her. And he admits that even though he hates her, he loves her art, especially what it does for Luke. And that snaps her out of it. And then we see her in a movie theater watching the movie with her child self, and she realizes that she's always been in love with Luke. He was there. This is where her world changed because of this movie. She saw this movie and it made her want to be an animator and set her on the course of her life. The little girl hands her the peg bar and tells her fate must be rewritten. The voice of the peg bar was her inner
What?
child the entire time.
Yes. I actually thought that was pretty good because I was always wondering who's the voice. And then when the
The
kid did it, it's like,
the payoff
"Aw."
is solid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that was good.
And now we've come full circle on our theme. Art, and in this case specifically anime, changes people's lives. Except you got to be careful not to get too deep into it so that you overindulge in escapism and you can't get back out.
Because then your fate will be
E-
set. You can't change it.
Everything that
You'll
she
be
has
trapped in a canvas.
drawn, she has been changing the lives of the people within her. Destiny now wants to get strong and is self-articulated because she saw the cat guy. Eminem no longer is suicidal because she found something worth living for in standing a fictional character. Yeah, it's just a fictional character, but it's better than giving in to despair. And her life, all of this happened because of something that she watched, and now she wants to make something to change everyone else's lives. The theme of this whole story is anime changes lives. It's a celebration of anime and art in general, but this is specifically anime.
I mean, Destiny ends up marrying the guy anyways.
No, she doesn't.
Well, she does marry the harem guy. Or at least that's where it
Yeah,
was
she was
going
running
when
out of
everyone
money, and so
died.
she needed financial
know.
assistance.
I don't know if that's what happens in Paradise version, but that's the last we
Because
heard.
all their resources were running out. She didn't have
Yeah.
any food left. I'm pretty sure in Paradise World she doesn't need to marry him.
I'm just
Depends how
saying,
much of Paradise he owns.
in the original story, that's what happened to her, and now it's happening again. Just pointing that out.
Not after she dies, though. The reset by death.
Anyway, she goes back. Oh, actually, Eminem pulls them out of the Void Monster, and Luke destroys the crystal, becomes the ultimate Void, and basically one by one, all our characters start dying as she's drawing, and the only thing she can think of that can defeat an evil Luke is Luke, because she's been drawing him her whole life, and he's always been there for her. So she starts sending Luke after Luke, but they keep dying on the way. And
This is
then
great 'cause it's basically her saying, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, this is who you are to me. This is who you remember who you are.
right,
That's why she's sending Luke at him, which that's actually a really cool thing because it plays into anything like addiction is a big one, but also just spiraling into depression the way he is, or fleeing into a canvas and staying there at the cost of everything.
What about the rules, Troy? You just made a rule a minute ago.
I didn't understand that reference. I have no idea what he's talking about. You should
Feeling
play
attacked
Expedition
right now.
33 if you like RPGs. Anyway,
Oh my god.
eventually the whole world is basically gone except for her drawing in the darkness. She can't see, but she's like, I'll just draw by memory. But QJ returns with a light because it'll be bad for her eyes to draw in the dark. And then as they're being deleted, he's giving her pep talk. Luke had always said she's impossible in frustration, and he uses it as a rallying cry. That's good writing. Taking a turn of phrase, paying it back. And then she draws the Luke she fell in love with in his wrapped up towel, doing the Luke Skywalker pose, and that's the one strong enough to defeat the ultimate Void. She wakes up in the stars in Glowy Land, and then Luke appears, and then a crystal comes out of them as they tell each other. Oh, she also screamed, "I love you." And then all the crystals come back. Everyone's brought back to life, and everyone's happy. But she has
Fate
to
has
go
changed.
home. Fate has changed. Fate has been rewritten.
You guys don't understand what fate means, but go on.
You said it wasn't about the definition of the word.
No, I said words have meaning. And if you're going to say, hey, draw a new fate, and then you never do.
But she did.
But she did.
Okay. If I am fated to go upstairs and get a drink of water, and then I go get that drink of water, but then later I come downstairs and sit down, like the event of getting the drink of water still happened. The world still ended. Everyone still died. That fate happened. What happens next is not changing that fate. It's just resurrecting everybody, and a new chapter has started. The fate did its thing. It's completed.
In your example, if you were fated to always stay upstairs and never come back down, and then you did come back down, yes, you went through most of your fate when you went upstairs to get the drink, but you broke fate when you went back downstairs.
Because you defined it as never coming back down.
Right.
Right.
And their fate was to die forever.
Permanently. Yeah.
I don't remember ever hearing that it was forever.
That's how the movie ends.
Ended.
Right. The story ended, and she created
The
a new
movie.
chapter.
No. The movie ended. Like, she wasn't the author. The author decided that that was the end. There was nothing else to tell.
Right. And so she started a new story.
Oh my goodness.
Which is a change of fate.
No. Same story.
Right.
Just
because it's a change of their fate.
changes where the ending is.
We'll have
Thus,
to
a
agree to
new
disagree
fate.
here.
No, we don't. All right.
It's not satisfying to me.
Life has gone on. Her movie's been a huge success. She's working well with others. She even wants to hire on her assistant. Is that the little girl that had a crush on her?
That's a good question. I don't think so, but I didn't pay attention to the name.
Also,
Yeah.
Could have been.
So she didn't die to begin with, obviously.
That's why
Right.
I was saying that I think this is all just a thing that she went through because she needed to grow as a person.
So this was all a hallucination, or it's a real world, because the
That's what I
characters
thought.
have it. They had yeah.
It can be both.
No,
it can't.
no, it
One or
can't.
It's
the
real
other.
world. It's a real world thing that she needed to go through. Just like Dorothy needed to go to Oz to learn to appreciate her life in Kansas.
No. No.
Okay, no. It can either be a hallucination from a near-death experience, or it can be she actually got isekai'd and it's another dimension.
Okay. It is real, because again, at the end of the anime, she's walking down the street. She sees all her friends, including Luke. The horn that she uses as a hairpin still exists and is glowing.
She got a glimpse of a guy in a cape. She didn't see if
Nope.
it was Luke or not.
It was
She also
Luke.
saw Unio.
And yeah, Unio's there.
Okay, fine. It
And
could have been a
again-
weird looking dog.
That's
And-
true.
Even if they were just cosplayers, the magic horn that she brought from the isekai world is glowing and real.
I still think it's a merch with LEDs in it.
So then how did she get back?
Yeah. She just did.
She did what she needed to do.
Right, but how did she get back?
Magic.
She dematerialized and then materialized.
And like
in a body that was probably in a
How-
coma from food poisoning.
okay.
You're gonna be okay.
Yes, because I don't have to watch this anymore.
Good anime. That's the end. Her life is good, and she's gonna get to be with Luke in the kingdom of reality. Let's go to our final reviews. Jeremy, it's your pick. You get to go first.
I thought it was pretty good. And you know, Tanya gives it a 5 out of 5. I give it a 4. It's not really in my wheelhouse that much. I love what they did with the animation. I loved as far as like having an animator in an anime, one that she's very familiar with. I loved that she um immediately told everybody, "Yeah, no, I'm from a different world and you're just a movie." That was cool. I liked that there were two different characters isekai'd into this world, and that there was some conflict between them, even if it was very little. Um, I liked the overall story, although I thought that a few things were just very weak. But I do see where you're coming from, Troy. That it's, you know, they were intentionally weak because they're like celebrating the way old stories were written. Um, and so and that nostalgia of like what you liked as a kid maybe wasn't so good when you when you look back at it. Um, so I get that. It's better than a 3 for me. So I'm definitely gonna go for a 4.
Jason?
Wow, that looked like it pained you to ask me.
Yep. Almost wanted to skip.
Oh. I didn't find the characters compelling. The story had lots of holes that I didn't like, and I know it might have been on purpose, whatever, and there's context I need to take into consideration, but it wasn't satisfying for me, and I didn't connect with the characters. The story itself didn't start even getting interesting till like episode 11. And I the whole confusion around how she got there, how she got back, is it a dream, is it a reality, is she hallucinating,
There's no confusion. The
is
anime
she,
specifically explains that it's real. How she got back, yeah, sure. It's magic and it's hand waving, and you can be upset about that. There's no confusion about what the ending is. It was a real event that actually happened to her life, and the
or
fictional characters from the movie have now come out of the movie and live with her in real life. Her and Luke are gonna have lots of little fictional babies.
Okay. Do you remember the scene in episode 7 or maybe it was 8 where she like goes back into the theater and Yunio come or no, yeah, she's in the theater and the younger version of herself is there and she's like watching the younger version. The younger version is watching the movie and is like, "This is amazing, man." It's like crying and everything. I turned to Tanya, I said, "That's Troy."
Yeah.
That's Troy.
okay,
Your passion. It effervesces.
Also, the being the weird kid in class, being like, "No, you don't understand. Okay, it's called the Millennium Falcon, and but the cockpit's on the side."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's 100% was me. I'm
okay,
fine.
so just walk with me here for just 1 second. If this was all hallucination from a near-death experience, is it possible that the glowing and seeing Luke and Unio on the sidewalk were also hallucinations? Just hypothesizing. I'm not saying it is.
I want that, but she wasn't looking at the horn, so she couldn't have hallucinated it.
Only we can see the horn. It's on the back of her head.
Ah. Anyways, I did not enjoy myself with this one. This conversation really didn't change my opinion much. I'm giving it a 2.
All right. I think the biggest weakness for me is how predictable it was. Literally, like, oh, I can't make a romantic movie. Okay, so this lady's about to go on a journey where she falls in love and has to learn what love is. But with that said, the theme about how anime changes lives and how like just watching a silly cartoon about a cat wrestler can give somebody agency and inspire them to get into fitness. I remember hearing about like Ronda Rousey was inspired by Vegeta to get it. You know, that's why she ended up.
You serious?
I'm pretty sure it's been a while. You know how memory can be.
That's amazing. I
But
never heard that.
that Ronda Rousey loves Vegeta, right?
I love that.
And also like, hey, being fans of stuff gives people reason to live and things like that. That was really cool. Um, Animation was awesome. Some of the characters were hit and miss. I'm gonna go with a 4. I mostly just because I'm a theme guy and I love when a good strong theme is presented well. And so yeah, the Eminem dance scene is stupid, but it had a purpose, and it was all for the theme.
It was
All right.
funny. That's all it needed.
And it
to
was
be
funny.
funny.
All right. Our next anime is Sakamoto Days. So we're going to deal with assassins in grocery stores. And with that said, you need to tell us what you thought about this anime. You can do so on our website, theanimebakaclub.com. Go and hit that contact us button. You can reach us on Twitter at Baka Podcast, or wherever you found this podcast. You can leave a comment and we'll probably see it. Sorry if I've missed stuff lately. I'm tired. We're fine. We're back on track though. All right, let's say goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Squee!
Sayonara.